Hi, and welcome back to That's So Nova. I'm so glad that you came. Today we're going to be doing a bag tutorial from Georgia Girl Stitch Patterns, and we're going to be making the Camille bag. I found Georgia Girl stitches through Etsy. One day I was carousing around and I seen this really beautiful bag, and it just, I don't know, there's something about the bag pattern. I'm going to show you the front of it. There's something about this pattern that looks very nautical, very high-end boutique, and I totally freaked out and I bought her pattern. And at first I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to make this. When you cut out all the pieces, the pattern instructions and pictures are so well that you end up with a great bag. Her whole collection of her patterns are amazing. I use her patterns a lot when I'm at craft fairs, or when I do conventions, or when I'm selling on Etsy and I make a bag. Her patterns are exquisite. They're well written, and has absolutely gorgeous pictures and instructions. What I like about this particular bag pattern is it looks very high end without having tons and tons and tons of work. So I'm going to show you a couple examples. So with this one, I used waterproof canvas on the outside, fashion fabric for the pockets, and then the inside is made with waterproof canvas as well. So I've been making her bags for a while, and I feel like each one of her lessons in her bags brings you to the next level. So you get to tamper and play around with leather for the sides to hold your D-rings, and the handles. It's just a regular two or three slip pockets that you could put in here, and your bag is ready to go. The construction is really easy. There's not interfacing because you're using either canvas, canvas, leather. You can use quilt and cotton in certain areas if you wish, but I think the reason why I like this pattern is you use materials that you're not used to making. For example, I made this bag for the next craft fair as well. This is fashion fabric in the front, and then I'm using a nice wax canvas. We get to install a metal zipper, and then I put two slip pockets. In this pattern, you're going to be learning how to set rivets, install zippers, and it's a advanced beginner, and I feel like it's just a great bag. The reason why I think these bags sell particularly well for me is because it's a small little crossbody bag that you can make into anything. You have all the little features that you like in a crossbody bag, the little handles. You have some cool leather on your webbing. It feels really great, and there's no decouville, there's no pellon, there's no like interfacing. So I feel like this is a functional bag that looks very high end and sells incredibly well. So today we're going to be making the bag, and I want to show you some leather samples that I got from Georgia Stitch Girl, Joy. Joy is a pattern designer name. And I want to show you because I know someone's going to be like, I have a domestic machine, I can't make this pattern. And that's actually, you can. Especially if you buy a kit from Joy. Most of the bags, if you like browse my Etsy page, you will see her designs. I make the Gabby, Camille, all of her bags. I make Amber. And when I buy kits from her, I'll get leather. And this is when I first really started experimenting with leather. If I could show you this, I'm going to show you, this is a piece of vinyl, marine black vinyl that you can get from, Fabric Wholesale Direct, Amazon, fabric.com, you know the drill. And I folded it over a couple times, and this is a piece of some leather from her. If you look at it, the width is the exact same. The only thing that's different is you're going to need to make sure you have a leather needle, fresh needle, and you're going to have to increase your stitch length. And you're going to take your time. Some areas are going to be thick, some areas are not. But even when you fold this in threes, it is so much, it's actually thinner and stretchier than merino vinyl. So if your machine could do merino vinyl, I feel fairly confident that you can do this on a domestic. I actually made both those bags with my brother, 3500 in Q. It's one of my favorite bags to make while the kids are in school because you cut out the pattern pieces and it's fairly easy. But she has really amazing kits, really amazing leather, and we're going to experiment. I purchased a kit for this and she threw in a couple extra zippers that come when you buy certain kits come with the hardware already installed, not installed, we're ready to go. So we are going to make this bag. I'm going to be using a waxed canvas, and we're not, again, there's no stabilizer. I'm going to be using a waxed canvas, this beautiful brown leather. And for my exterior, I'm going to just use duck cloth. And it's pretty thick. I get this from fabric.com, or whenever I see someone have duck cloth for relatively inexpensive, I buy it. No interfacing, just nice and easy. You can have fun with decorative stitching, or you can make it have quilting cotton in the inside. I just, for this bag, to give it that I'm trying to think of the word, like boutique nautical feel, I'm using duck cloth. So let's get started on Camille bag. So again, this is for advanced beginners, but I honestly believe everyone and anyone can make this pattern. She makes this pattern really easy. She gives so much education in the first 2 pages alone. So she starts off right off the bat with a finished dimension. She tells you our seam allowance is going to be a 1/2 inch unless otherwise told in the pattern. She goes into notes about rivets. I feel like this in the fabric world, in the bag making world, is crucial. A lot of people say that their rivets are not setting, or they're popping off, or they come out crooked. This pattern alone in this one little box explains to you why you need what size and what can help you. It's pretty accurate. She has a really nice cutting list. She explains what you need, and then we go right straight into the prep work. So with this bag, I have the option of either doing the cotton webbing or a leather strap. So it really depends on your preference. If you're doing the cotton webbing, I'm trying to figure out if I should have figured out if I was going to do the cotton webbing or leather. I kind of want to do the leather because I was talking to my husband that this might be a keeper bag for me. You could either do either one. On page 4, she shows you how her technique, which I like a lot. I started implementing it in all my bags, is to feed your slider ring inside, and then we would sew a box really small in there, and then we would take a piece of leather or suede and wrap it around the ends, and we would rivet and do that at the same end on the other end. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Sorry, I'm like dropping everything, like zippers, everything. I think I might do the webbing just to show you. I feel like that's important, but you have the option of making a leather strap. She has instructions for leather and or webbing. With webbing, you would just fold it with the measurement she gives, and you would rivet. You wouldn't have to need these straps. I'm going to be using them because I got this, she included this beautiful suede, and it just with this brown, I feel like it's really gorgeous. So I'm going to get the things I need for this strap. So let's start with the adjustable strap. All right, and this is a beautiful brown cotton webbing. And I am going to do the box like suggested in here to give it a little bit more. I want to say stability, but oops, don't have things to give it a little bit more security. And it's a small box. It's a little rectangle, but it helps keep the strap part in place, as well as that, like I said, that little bit of extra security. I'm using Saba thread from WAWAK, and it's 40 weight thread. I just got brown. If you follow any of my videos, you probably know I'm obsessed with WAWAK thread 40 weight. It's amazing. So we're going to take this part and we're going to wrap it around so all the raw edges are enclosed. Let me get this. And I'm probably going to put a little bit of fray check because it's cotton. I like using fray check a lot. You'll see this out and about a lot. I'm just putting fray check at the end so that way it doesn't unravel. And let me get, not drop stuff. Let me get my hole puncher out and the rivets I'm going to be using. Alright, so we're going to cover the raw edges and punch a hole through all the layers. And this is what I highly suggest if you to get one of her kits. It literally comes with everything that you need, and you're just basically cutting out the fabrics that you're going to use, and you're going to get ready to go. So I'm making sure everything is in, and because it's a suede, there will be no raw edges. And I am going to punch a hole in the center. And stick a rivet. Get my press and set it, and you can kind of feel it. It's like two little pushes and it goes. From here, we're going to feed one end, one lobster clasp, one swivel clasp, and make sure everything is going, nothing's like wibbly wobbly and your thing's all not straight. We're going to feed this in. And I'm just going to, I like to push this down pretty far so that way I can make sure that this is not crooked. And we're going to now do this end. Again, I'm going to cut these little burrs, put some fray check, whenever I'm working with cotton webbing, and I actually prefer cotton webbing over polyurethane or seatbelt. I know that's going to be like, people are going to be like, what? I like seatbelt and polyurethane webbing, but there's something about the cotton webbing that is so, I don't know what word. I don't want to say rich, but it just feels more luxurious to me, I guess. We are going to now put this one on, and she gives all the measurements. I'm eyeballing it, but realistically you should measure it, especially when you're doing straps for people. You kind of want to ask them how long or how wide they are, because like I'm a plus size person. I know that I usually like to make my straps anywhere from 55 to 60, and I'm also tall. I'm 5'9", so you have to cut. Sometimes you have to, when you're making bags for clients, asking their height or what they feel, are they, pear shaped, hourglass, because you never know if someone's more less endowed or heavy endowed. They may need more strapping or webbing so it could be crossbody. Okay, and I'm going to punch a hole in the center again. And we set that. Now we're going to take our strap and put it to the side, but it's all like done, and I love the way that looks. It's just so posh and elegant. So I'm going to put that to the side, and we are going to now prep the handles. One handle. And the second handle. So on the handle, there are measurements where we're going to punch the holes. So I'm going to measure the longest hole out first that we're going to use, and I'm using my little handy dandy Westcott ruler. And I'm using the exact 1 inch so that way I can do better. I can center the holes better. And I do that with both strap ends. I'm using Laura Mormino's pen, and she made these pins so that way you could put the Tandy leather pins in there. And I have I'm pretty much obsessed. Anytime I order any hardware from her, I generally order a pin. It's kind of like rulers for me. I'm addicted to Tandy's pins and rulers. But since you're punching holes in this, if you don't have a Tandy leather, you can use a any kind of marker, because you're going to punch a hole through it and no one's going to see it because it's going to have a hole in it. Okay. I'm just double checking. All right, so then I'm going to punch my holes. And that's one strap that's done. I think gravitated is I've always wanted to work with leather, but I was very intimidated by it because the cost of leather is more than vinyl, and I didn't want to mess up. So for me, I think this is the perfect beginner pattern for getting into leather, because you learn a lot of different skill sets. Like in one of the pages, she's explaining about what weight you need for leather. So that opens up a gate where you want to start researching more about weight, chrome tan, veg tan, and understanding the different ounces and whatnot. So I truly appreciate this pattern because it opened up my horizons for it. All right, so here we go. We're going to now grab the front pocket piece. And we're going to, this is wax canvas, so we're not, sorry, I have like a million burrs. We're not going to iron it. We're going to have to finger press it or use a roller to get better creases, but you cannot iron. What happens is that the wax or the oil or whatever method the person used winds up melting and it's not set right anymore. If you get a lot of wrinkles in it, you can use a blow dryer to take them out. But do not, whatever you do, do not, I can't talk. I did this the wrong way. Do not iron it. Well, I could just say I found the perfect center. That's what I was doing. I was going for. And I'm just using my roller. I got this roller from Emmeline Bags. As you can see, it's well loved. All right. So from the center divider, which I made here, we're going to mark 1/8 away from it because we're using wax canvas and not something we can iron. What I'm going to do is use a creaser and make a line with like a bone finger or whatever poking tool, so that way we can have measurement. So I have 2 lines, and if you use like a tandy leather, it's not like you could spray it or wipe it off. If you use a heat soluble pen, it's that you're going to melt the wax. So what I'm using is just a creaser, which again is very well loved, that I got from Emmeline's, and I creased it down. You can use a bone finger, you can use your fingernail, you can use the edge of a ruler, whatever. So we're going to top stitch this down where we just creased across first. Take this over, and I'm going to top stitch at a 3. I'm doing just like 1/8 of an inch if my thread wants to cooperate. Take your time and breathe. I know working with different materials can be daunting and can make you nervous. Trust me, I completely understand, because every time I work with leather or wax canvas, I'm a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie. All right. So we're going to take one of our top pieces and we're going to put a line. We're going to align this, and I'm going to take a couple clips. And we're going to stitch this down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom, do a little back stitch, go up, stitch, and then go back down. Move some things out of the way. Just follow that crease that we made. And if you stop, make sure that your needle's down. Now, with her patterns, I feel like each one of her patterns you kind of advance more. And I learned some things, that techniques and things I use on every single bag now. And I'm going to show you one of them. It's not in the pattern, but if you purchase her other patterns, then you'll see when these are getting used. We're going to put a rivet, a small rivet. There goes the roller. We're going to put a small rivet, a small hole in here, and we're going to put a rivet. So I'm just marking the center, making sure I'm not getting into the threads, and I am using a hole punch, and I'm going to use a small rivet to set it. And this rivet is a 6mm. And see, it's going to protrude a little bit on the back. So in some of her other patterns, like the Camille, she uses leather washers. Now, leather washers, I have a whole jar full, because now I do this for my vinyl too. Like if I have scraps of vinyl, I punch out with a just like a circular die that you can use on a press, or you can use a hammer on. I punch out holes, and then I punch a center hole so I can have it go in the back. So what this does, it gives it extra security, and this won't just pull through because it's like anchored down with a piece of fabric. So think of these washers kind of like decorative. No, think of it like, you know, when we put Decoville Light or Anti-Soft and Stable or Pellon, just so that way it can protect the hardware doesn't pull through. It's the same thing with rivets. So you can make leather washers. I also make vinyl washers when I'm doing rivets. So that way, it basically makes it more snug, so the rivet doesn't go slanted, and again, it won't pull through. You put in the pocket, the whole rivet's not going to pull through the fabric because this is only one layer of fabric. So I love doing that. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my name plate on there, and that I'm trying to do this before this gets done. So there is a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and this kind of does bend in a little bit. So I'm going to stick this about 1 inch, 1 inch up from the bottom, 1 1/8 of inch at bottom, and then like 2.5 inches on the top. I mean, going in. So I just marked with my silver pen where I want to punch the holes. And I don't want to put, actually I could punch it through all 3 layers because you won't see, but then the pocket won't be, you wouldn't be able to use the pocket all the way. So I'm only punching it through the front of the pocket so we can still slide cell phones and whatnot in there. I got these wood name plates on Etsy as well, and I love them. Let me get some rivets. I'm going to use 2 rivets. And you don't have to put it, this will be a perfect opportunity to put your name tag if it's cotton. There's a lot of cool opportunities with this bag to customize it to give it a different feel. Just putting a washer in the back so that way it doesn't pull through. Because I want you to be able to still stick your hand in the pocket. If you do it through all 3 layers, then you'll be able to stick your hand from this point and maybe a little bit on this side, and you couldn't get further. So taking my setting tool, and I'm going to set this nameplate. All right. So we're going to baste the sides down. And basting's at a 5. You're just basting it like 1/8 of an inch away. All right. Again, if you hear me saying magic, it's not some secret code word. My husband's moving something, and you can visibly see it being moved on camera, and you're like, how is she doing that when both of her hands are on the fabric? It's now magic. Okay, 1/8 of an inch. Now you could do pocket. I did one where I have pockets on both sides, and then I have some that just have the pockets in the front. Okay, we're on page 7, and we're going to attach the exterior bottom with a 1/2 inch. And you could just pop a couple clips in. Just go back to a 3 and not have a basting stitch, back stitch. Okay. Trimming threads. Then we're finger pressing this down, and then we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. If you're using a domestic, I would probably just increase your stitch length. I'm going to use a 3 and take my time because the seam is a little thick because you're going through 2 layers of leather and what, 3 layers of, I'm going through 3 layers of waterproof canvas, so I'm taking my time. I'm kind of tugging the fabric and the leather away from each other so it doesn't bunch up. And breathe. Okay. I have a little bit of excess on the side. I'm just going to trim that away because when we make the box, I don't want it to be part of that because we're going to make this box it out. All right. Okay, so we have one done. And we're going to now grab the other top piece and the other exterior bottom and do the same thing we did to this one. We're going to pop a few clips. And we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance. All right. My thread was like, hey, let me wrap around your foot real quick. Pressing the seams down towards the bottom exterior panel, and then we're going to do top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Again, trying not to hold our breaths, but we possibly still are. Okay. I'm getting excited. I'm really loving these colors together. So we have these pieces all finished, and then we're going to box out. We're going to cut out the box corners. So I had my other ruler that probably fell, but I'll just compromise. Let's see. We're going to do a 2-inch box. I'm just drawing 2-inch on both sides. Yeah, I'm just using these cheap Westcott rulers. I get them off of Amazon. They're inexpensive, and each box is like 1/8 of an inch. So it makes it easy. We're going to cut into our leather. And again, don't discard these little box pieces because they're leather. You can make washers out of them. No waste, right? As my clips go flying, no waste. Okay, we have one done. Two-inch box. Cutting out the 2-inch box. All right. So we have both exterior pieces cut out, ready to go. We're going to now do the lining piece, which is on page 8. We're going to take, let's see, our lining pieces, our main one, and then this is the pocket. So we're going to put right sides together on the pocket. And we are going to sew along this raw edge and like flip out the pockets. We're going to make sure that there's no wrinkle. Back stitch, because we're going to flip this, turn this around. We don't want to stitches unravel. I'm really thinking I got this duck cloth at fabric.com because I am struggling right now trying to think. I'm like, you know when you buy a lot of fabric and you're like, where did I get this? I really should create some kind of like Excel spreadsheet when I buy stuff to say this is where I got it, because you half the time I do not remember. It does fray bad, but it's super thick, and once it's in the bag, it just to me gives it a really great feeling. It's just nice and snug. Okay. I'm going to, this you can press because it's duck cloth, but never your canvas. So I'm going to give this a good press right now, so that way it can set the stitches I just made. I'm really trying to get the seam that I just made. All right. Put the iron down so I don't burn myself. flip this back around, and we are going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. And I just did not hold my threads. Now, again, I'm showing you with like all like canvas and wax canvas, but again, in the beginning of the video, you see that I used waterproof canvas in the bag, and it turned out great. The bones of the structure of this bag is pretty remarkable, and after you make the first one, you're going to feel super confident that you learn new skills, and second of all, like new techniques. And this bag can literally be anything you want. Make it all leather. The only thing I would suggest is not using fashion fabric for the front part unless you do interface it, because quilting cotton or woven cottons will just be too thin if it doesn't have that setting. So I'm going to take one of my lining pieces and we're going to use a heat erasable pen on this part. We're going to do 5 and 5.5 inches away from each center, and I'm just going to use a friction pen. Because I can hit it with some heat and the marks will go away. Okay, so we want to mark this, go 3.5 inches down from the top. So what I usually do is I will mark it just in one corner, and then the other. Then what I'll do is then I can line up my marks that I just made, so that way I know it's exactly 3.5 inches down from the top line. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to back stitch very secure stitches. We're going to go we're going to go across, up, back down, go down, across, up, back down, and do that again. Make sure you back stitch in the beginning and the end really well. I'm going to put another clip right here and right here. All right, here we go. When you stop, make sure you're in the needle down. Now she does have options to put 2 rivets in here, and I'm going to do that. I feel like it ties in the whole look. And I'm going to put washers in the back, and then I'm also going to put fray check because this fabric, as you can see, frays heavily. So anything I can do to help prevent the fraying, I'm going to do. All right. So I'm going to trim the threads, and then I'm going to get my little handy dandy hole puncher, and I'm going to punch a hole in the center. You don't want to break any of the threads. Kind of in the corner of each stitch thing, the stitch line we just did. I probably have to clear this out. All right. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of fray check right on the hole. That way it doesn't fray as much. I'm using the small rivets. They're 6 mm's. And push this through here. I'm going to get some of my washers. Put that on the back so it doesn't poke through. Use my press to set the rivets. Get my presses from Etsy, Mikas and Margot. I have a tendency of shopping a lot on Etsy, not only because I have a shop, I just like to support small businesses. And Mikas and Margot has like excellent customer service. All right, so we have these 2 little cute rivets. We're on page 9. We're just going to base these down, and then we're going to cut out 2-inch boxes. So you can, basting is out of 5. Just trimming my threads and just the extra fray bits, because for some odd reason, I always get like the fray pieces want to come in between the seams, and I'm like, man. I'm just gonna flip this over real quick and just hit it with the iron so that way I can get rid of all the pink lines that I made. All right. And then we're going to put this back, and we're going to cut out 2-inch squares. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the other lining piece and just draw out the 2-inch squares as well. Okay, so after I cut out this square, I like to find my centers on every single thing I'm about to do, because we're going to install a metal zipper and we want to make sure everything lines up okay and right. So I'm just taking one of my pens and just drawing a center line on the back of each piece of fabric. Lining up everything, making sure it's all lined up nice and even. You can crease it, just use the crease on the back. I'm just using a little silver pen, just a little, to mark just the centers on the wrong side of the fabric. All right, so I have that. I'm also going to mark the center on my zipper, and I love these metal zippers. They're so pretty. Just a little silver pen, so everything just matches up. So I'm going to take the main exterior, I'm going to take it and match. Make sure I will triple check and double check over and over again when it comes down to finding my centers for my zipper tape. Okay. Right sides together. Find your center and then put a few clips. We will be moving around the zipper pull a lot. You could put a narrow foot, a smaller narrow foot on it, and I might do that, or you can just move your zipper teeth. All right, let's get this party started. Let's see. I'm going to move my pull to start. Okay, and make sure you back stitch. Okay, And then I'm going to grab the lining that has no pocket, so that way that's the lining for the front. Place that together. Put in a few clips. I'm going to go inside my little zipper sandwich and move down the zipper tape. I mean, not the zipper tape, the zipper pull. And we are going to sew this. Let's see. Back stitching. And when I get to the zipper, I'm just going to make sure that my needle's down, and then I'm going to lift up my foot and move the zipper again. What I like about this pattern is this next step with top stitching. It's very similar into garment making with the understitch, but it gives the bag a really nice look. I personally don't like having stitches shown on the inside of the bag when it comes down to tacking down the zipper. So this is something that I as soon as I seen that Joy did it, I was like, oh, I'm not the only one, because everybody I see, they always are like, put this together, top stitch this across. But instead, what we're going to do is take this, we're going to move the lining so it's facing up, taking the seam and making sure the seam is right here. And we are going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch. And we're not going to be stitching on this lining. Now, the lining is caught in the back, so it is secure, but it just gives it a more clean and finished look. So when you open up your bag, you don't have stitches going across. Similar to, like I said, if you're making garments, understitching is heavily used. Now, when you top stitch, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch. You may or may not have to move your zipper depending on your machine. Some zippers, like this fits a little bit narrow, more narrow than my Bernina or my brother's. So they generally don't have to change out feet, but if you have to change to a zipper foot, then change it out. All right. So see, when there's no stitches, all the stitches were sewn on on the inside. So I really like the way that looks. We're gonna grab our exterior piece over here. We're going to make sure that we find the center of our zipper and the center of our fashion fabric. I'm not fashion fabric, our wax canvas, and not pin. Why do I always want to say pin? Clip. The zipper in place. So bring it over to the machine. Get my tails of my thread that want to curl around my foot today. And we're going to back stitch. I'm going to put my needle down and move my zipper head away. Trimming threads. And then we're going to grab the piece that has the pockets, and we're going to put them right sides together, going with that center mark. Lining them up with And then clip, clip, clip. Let's see. We're going to make sure we back stitch. Okay, so we're getting close to that zipper head, so I'm going to make sure the needle's down. I'm going to go through and move the zipper head out of the way. Okay, trimming threads. And we are going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch. I'm just trimming these threads up real quick. I have like little threads everywhere. I'm gonna get these frayed ends and threads apparently that don't want to cut out of the way. I'm going to move, the lining is on this side, so we're only having the front fabric, and I'm going to top stitch 1/8 of an inch. So here we go. Let me move all this out of the way. All the 3 layers are going to the side, and I'm using on the left hand side just this one piece of fabric, and I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, did that. All right. Okay. All right. So we have all the fabric out facing. The linings are in their respective places. We are on now page 11. We're going to be doing some measurements, and we're going to be doing some cutting, not cutting, punching holes. I want to make sure this is lined up, so I'm going to trim this excess because I don't want like a saggy lining, and that would happen. Fixing things along the way. It could be that this duck cloth stretched, or that when it frayed I didn't cut it right. It could be a million things, but there's always time where you can just correct stuff. So we have inside pockets, the lining, in their respective places. All right. So what we're going to first measure is we're going to put the fabrics are going to be wrong side together, which they are, and we're going to mark the straps. So we're going to go mark a 1/2 inch down from the edge of the fabric. not the zipper teeth, but the edge of the fabric, 1 3/4 of an inch over on each side. So I am going to get a silver tandy pen. So we're going to go 1.5 inch down. And 3/4 of an inch over. I'm going to make a mark there, and I'm going to do the same measurements on this side while I'm at it. Don't worry, everything that I trimmed will all get caught in the lining. I mean, caught in the lining. Caught in the, when we sew it together. So, let's see. Marking there. I'm going to just turn the fabric over real quick and mark on this side. So we're going 1.5 inches down from the fabric and 1 3/4 of an inch across. I think this is why I like these rulers so much, is because the squares help me out so much. All right, so this is where our D-rings are going to be. Then we're going to have markings 5 inches over. Okay. So where is my other baby ruler? I'm going to, here it is. There's a lot of measurements on here, and I know at first it could be like, oh my god, it's intimidating, but it's not. It's actually really quite brilliant how she gets everything together. Okay. And I'm just drawing the lines, the dots before we punch a hole through them. Triple checking my measurements. There's no harm in taking your time on this, because you just want to make it right. I just took out my stitching, my basting stitching. This is why I don't baste usually. I just do regular stitches because somehow, some way, I always do that. All right, so we have 6 holes on each side. These are going to be the ones on the side are for your This is going to be for our D rings, and the 2 in the center will be for our handles. So what I'm going to do is I tug the lining so that way it aligns with the bottom. I just pop a few clips before I'm going to punch holes in it. Now you can use your handheld, but I'm not going to lie, this one's a little convenient because you just punch a hole and call it a day. Yes, you're punching holes in your fabric, your bag, and you're like, oh my goodness. I promise you it's worth it. I want to make sure that the hole gets through. I have another one of these. I think that I doled this one out. Just need a stiletto real quick and just making sure that there's a hole there. And all right. Then I'm going to actually do the same thing on this one. I'm going to put some clips in it. Make sure that the lining is like tugged down and it's not up and it's not getting, you know, weird. And then I'm going to punch some holes. I can see the green on this one. I need to probably punch twice in it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do that on this one just to make sure again. Because I want the hole to be nice and clear so when we attach stuff, we're not like trying to figure out where holes are. That's about right. Alright. So I'm going to do this one more time on this side. Yeah. I can see the green now. I just wanted to make sure I could see the green through and there's like I said, a clear hole. You can go through these holes on the other side and do fray check if you're using like really fabric that likes to fray like mine. All right. So after we measured, we're going to now put this bag together. And it comes together, like I said, relatively fast and easy. We are going to, I like to open up the zipper a little bit because we're going to turn the bags. So we're going to do right side together. I like to line up the fabrics to make sure before I start clipping, like I like to line up everything so that way it's nice and clean. Line up these. Line up and clip. We're going to leave an opening on the bottom. It could be 6-inch, whatever is easier for you. But that's how we're going to birth the bag, is from the bottom of the lining. Okay. So let's start. Remember, it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I back stitch on every time you do a seam. Take your time. It is a little thicker because you're going to do 2 layers of leather. If you have it's getting a little tough, you can use a hop jumper, but because this is just laying flat, it's going to go easier. It's just it's getting comfortable with leather. Use as many clips and pins or not use clips and pins as you need. It's really your choice. Okay. And let's see, we're going to start on this side. And just like I said, I really focus on the areas that I put clips in, so that way I know I want these two sides to be like perfect so that I can join wire. It's a little thicker on that seam because you're now going through 4 layers of um, 4 layers of, I cannot talk, 4 layers of leather. Do not use this step cloth. It is fraying so bad. I always do like a little back tack on the back, the start and the bottom of each pocket. The pocket pieces, just giving it that little extra security. Okay, so I'm going to go 2 inches in. And leave a 6-inch opening. Back stitching well because we're going to be birthing there. And then I just, as you can see, I'm kind of dragging my thread so that way I can cut the threads later, but I don't have to keep holding the tails. Okay. Back stitching. Okay. All right. I'm trimming all the threads. All right. So before we start trimming, we're going to box the corners. And we're just, I like to open up the fabric. And we're going to just open up the seams, put seam to seam. Pop a few clips on there. And then I go on the other side and I do the same thing. Seam to seam. We're just boxing these corners. Open this up. And she has like a really great picture of showing how to box corners on page 12 and section A. They're perfectly aligned. The reason why I do all four is that way when I'm going to the machine, I'm not coming back to my table and trying to box the corners like one at a time. I mean, it's your own preference. You might want to just sew one and not have clips hanging around everywhere, and that totally makes sense too. So you're just opening up the excess before we trim or whatever, so everything could be laid as flat as possible and less bulk. So we take this over to the machine and we're going to sew a 1/2 inch on our box seams. And the leather part's going to be a little bit thick, but it's like what we just did when we went over. You're not going through as many layers because there is no interfacing. And back stitch. Moving the clips as we go. And back stitch. After we're done boxing these seams, then we're going to then trim it up a little bit so it could be nice and smooth. All right. So grab some scissors and we're going to trim the seams. Let's see. I am missing. I don't think I have Peltex. Kendall, do you mind giving me the craft text that's right up there above Baby Yoda? Yes. To make the bottom more structured, you can use some Peltex. I don't actually have Peltex. I'm going to do the next best thing and use craft text. 1 second so I can cut that out. We're going to do, I'm going to draw out what I'm going to cut out real quick. I'm one of those people that forever forgets one piece of, I thought I cut everything out and then I realized, nope, I actually didn't. Sorry, I have different scissors for different things. I hate using my fabric scissors on interfacing. Craft Tex, I like Craft Tex. I use it in a lot of my bags. I could have used buckram too. I always run out of Peltex for some reason. So I have different substitutes. Okay, we're going to sew this onto the bottom using the seam allowance real quick. So you're on the bottom of the bag and you're just going to basically, I'm going to put these in place. It just gives the body of the bag a little more structure. Go over that seam one more time. I get Craft Tex off of Amazon. And you know who else has it? It's really weird. Barnes & Noble. I like how you put this in at the very end. So that you're not like struggling with the bag throughout the whole process. All right. Now we're going to trim the seams up. Okay, let's see. And then for the bottom of the bag, I don't trim up the seams because it's such a big opening. And I want to make sure that I can turn the bag and then do the lining without it puckering or. All right. All right. All right, so now it's time for the magic. We're gonna turn this bag. I put my hand through the bag and then I usually grab a corner, press it in, and birth the bag. And just poke out the corners. Oh, this is a gorgeous bag. So we're going to close up the lining. When I close up a lining, I usually like just poke out all the corners in the lining. Make sure that the exterior corners are definitely poked out. All right, and then I'm going to kind of tug this part open. Like I put my fingers at the end of each, back and before stitch, and just you can clip it, and then you're gonna sew it close at 1/8 of an inch. It would help tremendously to use the same thread colors, and it will look just seamless. But I'm gonna go with the brown because that's what I have in there, and it won't be that visible because this is a khaki color. Make sure you backstitch. Okay, I'm gonna stuff the lining back inside the bag. All right, now we get to have some fun making all right. So all these holes that we punched out are going to now we're going to be putting some hardware in and riveting, and it's going to be fun. So first we're going to take our piece of small leather and we are going to make some marks. Now you can get fancy, you can get strap-in punches, so they're like oval, or like I seen one with that was a spear. It was pretty cool. Punch a hole. Get the hardware. We're going to go through tape, the first rivet, and then I'm going to use some of my washers. A washer, and then a strap-in cap. Pop that on. We're going to slide the D-ring in. This is 3/4 of an inch. I like 3/4 of an inch. It's like, I feel like it at first I was like, only 1 inch, but I'm beginning to like 3/4 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch hardware. It's unusual, but it looks really clean. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to set the rivets. had another D-ring. Where'd you go? Oh, there it is. I'm telling you, hardware always wants to sneak away from me. Slide your 3/4 of an inch D-ring. I love how all the, at first I was really nervous when I made this bag. I was like, I'm punching holes through lining and everything, but it does all line up really nice. So we're going to take our rivets and we're going to set them. Okay, so all those are done, and now we're going to do our handles that we punched out holes for earlier. We're going to just take our time using some washers. Now you can use quilting cotton for the exterior, and like I think you could do it with it. I'm sorry, you use quilted cotton for the interior, but I think you can use it for the exterior if you interface it. But it will still like fray. There's a chance that it may fray when you put the handles on. Not, I think I've made one bag, but I like use Decaville Light and I use Fray Check a lot, and the bag is solid. Like the customer still likes it. Okay, so we have one more to go, and this bag is almost completely complete. Just making sure you poke them through the holes. Let's see. I like how small the D rings are, and you can add, sorry, this hole is not lining up for me. There it goes. And then just setting the rivets. So these handles can be super secure. If I can get out of my own way. Let's see. So in the front of the bag, on the pattern cover, they have like this really cool like clippy thing in the front. Let me get my rotary blade and a ruler real quick. Let's see, and I'm going to take this ruler. It doesn't show this on the pattern, but it was a bag feature that I really liked on her on the front of the cover that I'm just trying to emulate a little bit, and I'm going to punch a hole. Just showing you, this is how I like go off and I just go into my weird tangents with modifications. I'll see something, I'm like, I want to do it. Then I do. I think it's a cool feature because like if you have your keys and you can just snap them on there. Literally just thought about this now. My husband had to get the D-ring for me. All right. Poke out the bag, so I did smash it up a little bit. Alright, so we have this amazing bag now that has really cool leather details. It has a nice, you can have even sturdier if you use Peltex. Peltex bottom, I use Craftex, but see, you can always compromise things when you're in a situation and you don't have all the materials. So we have this gorgeous bag. This bag came out so nice. We have 2 slip pockets in the front. We have a D-ring, and so you can place your keys. You have a nice feature with leather right here that's nice and secure. You can put your adjustable strap, and you can take off the adjustable strap if you're like just going on a date or whatever. You installed a metal zipper inside. We put washers so that way the fabric won't fray and it won't pull through. We have a nice pocket for our cell phone, keys, what have you. And that's it. This bag is completely done. It's ready to go. And like I said, I sell my bags. This particular bag does very, very, very well for me because it has like a Dooney and Burke Coach feel. Joy created a pattern that is, the simplicity makes it so elegant and so beautiful. I highly recommend anybody that wants to sell bags or they want a really cool high-end bag to try Joy's pattern. I have every single one of them, and none of them are bad, and each one of them teaches you new skills. Like, for instance, the washer trick I learned in, I believe, the Amber backpack. So now I do that with like almost every bag, so that way I know my rivets are setting right and it has reinforcement in the back. And if you have leather, or if you have leather or vinyl, it could be a nice, just cool accent feature. Like when you look inside the bag, like that is just, it looks beautiful and very professional. Um, you're understitching in here, and there's no zipper pockets. In the Camille, not Camille, we did the Camille. In Cami, there's a zipper pocket. There's a zipper pocket. Yeah, Cami, there's a zipper pocket, and Gabby, there's a zipper pocket. So if you would like to see other like tutorials for other bag patterns from Joy, please comment down below. Like, go to our website, look and see what you want, grab a pattern, support a small business. And even one up, but she has like the most beautiful packages. You can buy webbing that matches zippers, you can get leather, you can get like a whole entire kit. Like you can get this where you have the handles, you have the leather accent or cork. Sometimes she has cork accent, and then you could just use your regular fabric. I personally like her kits a lot because it saves me a lot of time where I'm not cutting things out and I'm not messing things up. Her leather is superb and her customer service is awesome. So I'm glad I was able to do this bag today. If, like I said, go to her website. I will link it down below. If there's another bag that you would like me to make a tutorial on from her, please comment. If you like this video, like, comment, thumbs up, and share if you wish it. You wish for it. I'll be coming to you later on this week with showing you some tops like applique and reverse applique. I should be bringing that video to you tomorrow as well. So until I see you, I hope everybody has a fantastic evening and you stay safe, and I will talk to you later. Bye.